Samantha Renke here, broadcaster and disability rights activist. Today I am here to talk to you all about money. Let's talk about money, money. Money makes the world go round, the world go round, the world go round. Okay, so I'm going to stop singing because that's a little bit embarrassing. But I bet you didn't think I could sing, hey? What I can't promise you is that I won't break out again with another showstopper. But what I can promise you is that money doesn't need to be scary. Even if, like me, you failed your GCSE maths. Yep, I got a D. I had to retake my maths GCSE twice when I went to college just to scrape that C. I was never good at money and numbers kind of terrify me. And they still do a little bit today, but it doesn't have to be that way. So I'm going to share with you some of my tips and tricks for being money confident, even for someone like myself who probably spends a little bit too much money on clothes and should maybe put a little bit more in my savings account. So I will give you a little bit of context. I remember being in high school. I'm quite old now, I'm 35. But I was in high school and I remember one of our local banks, so it was Royal Bank of Scotland, they came into the school and they set everyone up in my year group who wanted one with their first bank. And I remember I got really excited because I think we got a free piggy bank, which of course, when you're like in year 11 or year 10, I don't even know how old I was, getting a free money bank is kind of cool. But I really did feel like a grown person when I opened up my first bank account. And I've stayed with RBS up until now. I still have my business account because I have a limited company. So I have got a business account and I have my personal account. So I've stayed with them and it's still the same bank account that I opened when I was 15 years old. I'm not suggesting that you stick with one bank. In fact, some people like to swap and change because you can get different benefits, but I am a stickler for sticking with something if it feels right and if it's good. And you know what? You don't want to have the hassle of swapping and changing. What I would say is that as a wheelchair user, sometimes getting into a bank physically can be really, really problematic. A lot of banks have closed, unfortunately, which was a bit of a nightmare a few years back. I had my local bank and I, went to go and I think withdraw some money or put some money in, and all of a sudden it wasn't there. So there can be a lot of physical barriers, and even getting to and from a bank can be stressful. Perhaps you might need someone to assist you. I have a PA, so I have to make sure that they are available to assist me into the bank. And with this, I have recently opened up a completely solely online bank account, and that is with a bank called Starling, which they are absolutely fabulous. And so there's no physical branch, so everything is online. And one of the reasons I opened this account, not just because of the practicalities of physically getting to the bank, but actually I have a new PA or caregiver. She started work for me recently, and what I tend to do is put a little bit of money into that account, and she has that responsibility. Now, obviously, it's not advisable for you to give out your PIN number or your card really to anyone. But for me, I have this separate account, which is a virtual online account with a very small amount of money, and just for some groceries like picking up some milk or getting my bananas. And my PA holds on to that. She doesn't have the PIN because you can have, I believe it's up to £40 now. Is it £45 on your tap? And I automatically get, as soon as my PA uses that, I get a text come up on my phone and it tells me that my card's being used and the exact amount. For me, this is a safer way, comfortable way. rather than giving somebody your main bank account, which might have a substantial higher figure in there, and having to, give someone your PIN number. So I definitely recommend looking at online banks. I think Monzo is another great one. It's definitely the way to go, the way forward. And I love the fact that I am in complete control of what goes in and what comes out, and I can see it pop up straight away on my phone. It's super, super, super easy. So that's definitely one of the tips that I have for you all. Now, we all love technology. I love my technology. I'm not very good at technology, but I totally love it. I recently got an Apple Watch. Now, Apple Watches can be super expensive. I totally hear that. And I'm not expecting everyone to rush out and get Apple Watches. However, I added my Apple Watch onto my phone data. So every time I get my phone bill, it adds more money on to my phone bill just for the Apple Watch. So that is a really healthy way of getting some sort of expensive technology, breaking it down and adding it onto a contract that you already have. So I think on average I pay £20 extra a month for my phone. However, I pay £20 extra for my watch. Now, the good thing about having this is you can program all your debit and credit cards onto your phone, and you can literally go up to a counter and you can tap it. So you click on the side here, which is great for people like me who maybe have dexterity. Look at how wobbly my fingers are. Sorry if that's a bit weird. Very, very wobbly. I really find it quite hard sometimes to grab. I also have brittle bones, so if I've got a broken arm, fiddling around in a handbag can be problematic. You know what it's like. You want to pay for your coffee, you've got like a long line behind you, and then you're fiddling in your bag to get your wallet out. Sometimes you feel the pressure and people's eyes glaring at you. So yes, you can basically go up and tap. Now, if you can't afford this, I believe that Barclays do a little kind of gadget. It looks a little bit like a Fitbit, like one of them bracelets that see how much exercise you're doing. So Barclays have these little bands, and they work the same way. You add a little bit of money onto it, so you don't have to put the full amount, on there just in case you lose it. Put a little bit of money in there, and you can tap and go. These are really, really great. Again, if like me, you struggle with your dexterity. So they're my kind of top tips and gadgets and online banking. Now let's talk about saving money. Now people think I am a little bit extravagant because I have been known to bulk buy. Bear with me. I always say, if the apocalypse comes, I am going to be fine, because my house is a little bit like a bunker. And I've done this for a few reasons. So I used to live in an apartment that was on the 5th floor, and it had one lift. And sometimes that lift got broken. Or vandalised, sadly. And I found out the hard way that actually, when you order shopping from one of your big supermarkets, they will not actually carry the shopping up the stairs more than 3 flights. So sometimes I was left without toilet paper, which no one wants to be left without toilet paper. So I kind of became in the habit of wanting my independence and not having to worry about if someone's going to come and help me do some shopping or if a lift is broken. So I started looking into bulk buying. Now, not only is bulk buying practical in that respect, that it means that you won't fall short, and you don't have to rely on as many people, but also it can definitely work out cheaper. Now, this leads me on to my next point. If you're going to bulk buy, or if you're going to buy anything, in fact, do your research, okay? So don't just hop on an online store and go, that'll do, because do you know what? You'll probably find it somewhere cheaper. Now, I absolutely love just going on the internet and seeing what's out there. So I tend to, if I find something, I literally tend to copy and paste the name, the title of what I'm looking at wanting to buy. So if it's bulk toilet paper, I'll copy and paste it and I'll put it into a search engine and just see what your options are out there. Remember, obviously, to shop online safely. Always look for the little lock at the top. So that means it's a secure site, because what you don't want is to give your personal details over and it not be a secure site. If you do have a smartphone, I know smartphones are really great at ensuring all your data is protected, but it's just good to be vigilant. So what I'd say is shop around. Go to places like eBay. Yes, eBay is not just for someone's smelly old granny knickers. Can I say that? I just did. eBay is a great place to find things at a bargain price. Same as Amazon. I use Amazon for everything, and the convenience of a door-to-door service for things that I forget about is amazing. I know there's a lot of controversy around shops that aren't great for the environment, but I do believe that when you live in such a disabling world and you are a wheelchair user, you've got to pick your battles and actually don't feel guilty about getting things delivered to your door, because you know what, if the world was a little bit more accessible, then we probably wouldn't. We'd rather go out to the shop. So don't worry about that. Also, so this is something that not many people know about me. When I was 7 years old, I had my own antique store. Yep, 7 years old. I was wheeling and dealing. I was like Del Boy. Probably don't know who Del Boy is. Only Fools and Horses. Go and Google it later. I was like Del Boy. So me and my sister used to have our own antique store. Why? Not just to make money, but it was because my father was actually an antiques dealer. So what we used to do, we used to go around the car boots. If you've never been to a car boot, oh my goodness, you are missing out. Make sure this summer you get out of the house and you go to a car boot, because they're amazing. A little bit addictive though. Only take £10 with you and cut yourself off. Like, that's your limit when you go to a car boot, because it can be very dangerous if you take any more than a tenner with you. So we used to get up super early, go to the car boots. We used to buy things, and then the next day we used to put it on the antique stall. Savvy. I know this sounds really cheeky and like a funny little story, but it really built up my confidence with money, and I understood the importance of recycling, and the fact that just because it's belonged to someone else doesn't mean that it's not an amazing item. So I really encourage you all to think about your own items at home. Could you sell them on eBay? Would you want to buy off eBay? And there are so many online apps now, like Shpock, Gumtree, Vinted. So I definitely think it's worth doing, just to make a little bit more income. I really enjoy it. I buy pink like little bags and crepe paper, so I wrap up all my clothes and I put them in little pink bags, and I've got some little stickers that say thank you. And you're not going to become a millionaire from doing things like selling on eBay or Shpock or Vinted, but it's good for the environment. It clears out your wardrobe to make space for your new summer wardrobe, and it's actually quite fun. It can be quite therapeutic, and if you make a little bit of pocket money, and it is pocket money, I mean, let's be realistic, then that might buy you your coffee when you're out and about, or it might pay for the added cost of being disabled. And what I mean by that is, reports and studies have shown that disabled people, just, being disabled costs a lot of money on average, close to £600. That might mean things like fixing your wheelchair, paying for clothes to be adapted, or paying for, specialised equipment. So I don't know what supermarket comes from, and I'm probably copywriting, but every little helps. And this is why I am such an advocate for doing a little bit of wheeling and dealing. If that is, car boots. Doing a car boot. Oh my goodness. again, it's one of the best things. Buying on a car boot is great, but actually sitting and you feel like you're in Morocco doing some like wheeling and dealing, no pun intended. You're doing some haggling, some bartering, and it's really great. And not only does it boost your confidence with money, because you can tangibly see where your money is being spent, but also, it's great for just interacting with people and having that conversation. So I've spoken for quite some time now. I hope you have taken some tips and tricks away from me today. So just to run down them once more, think about potentially opening an online bank account so that you don't have to worry about access needs. That's number one. Think about, earning some little bit of pocket money by selling your unwanted items on eBay or any of the other online apps, and have a little bit of fun with it. Bulk buy. Bulk buy, people might laugh at you, but bulk buying can really, really not only benefit you financially, but it's also great because you will never be left without anything, and you don't have to rely on people, which is fantastic because we're all about building up our independence and having autonomy over our life. And then also, shop around, never get click happy. We're all too eager. We click straight away, go, that sold. Shop around, because the likelihood is there are other options out there. And one last one that I didn't actually mention, get creative. If you are a creative person, I'm hopeless. I'm not gonna lie, but if you do something like knitting or cross stitch, think about maybe opening an Etsy store or a craft store. Again, very similar to eBay. It can be so therapeutic, and it can earn you that little bit of pocket money. Okie doke. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'm not going to sing anymore. I hope that you liked this little video, and please don't be put off by money and finance, because it doesn't need to be scary. It can actually be fun. Bye.